Because we have an organ donor crisis in this America. We need organ donor policies change. A hero is an ordinary person who does an extraordinary thing. My organ donors are my heroes. Indeed, 2.3 million people died last year. How many do you think were organ donors? You might think 100,000, 50, 20, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6,000. One person dies every 90 minutes in this country waiting for an organ donation. This is the story of the life that I led inside my coma.
I would ask all of you to please join me in welcoming Dr. Richard Darling, our Public Citizen of the Year.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a tremendous honor to be here. People will ask me, do you take on the characteristics of your donor? And indeed, this is true. There was a recent PBS documentary on it called Transplanting Memories. And some people do take on the characteristics of their donor. There are some skeptics, but I know that it's true. And in fact, I know a girl who got a liver, and immediately after she got out of the hospital, she stopped eating meat and became a vegetarian, only to later on find that her donor was a vegetarian. And this is not uncommon. Now, my last donor was an 18-year-old girl, and I can't say that happened to. I can't say that I noticed that effect. My wife got a little bit nervous when I asked her if I could take ballet lessons and get a perm. How's my hair? Does it look all right? It was difficult for me to believe that I had come from life within my coma to being nationally recognized for the work that I do from the bottom of my heart to help others who need a life-saving liver transplant. Indeed, I did have a life within my coma. And my nurse came to me and she said, Dr. Darling, if you can hear me, I want you to squeeze my hand. And she took my hand. And I could see her and I could hear her, but I couldn't squeeze because I was inside my coma. And when there are many things that happened like that when I was inside my coma, this is the story of the life that I led inside my coma, when I could see people around me and when I could hear at times. And of course, it's the real life story of my fighting against liver cancer, hepatitis C, my heart attack, my diabetes, my 3 liver transplant operations. I've dedicated the profits of Coma Life entirely to research on hepatitis C and to the promotion of organ donation. Research on hepatitis C, because according to the CDC, 1.8% of the population is infected with this disease. That's 5.2 million people. Compare that to AIDS, which is estimated at 900,000 to 1 million. And even though these two diseases have essentially the same death rate, just a few thousand apart, the National Institute of Health is spending $5,500 on behalf of every patient with AIDS and $25 on behalf of every patient with hepatitis C, and $70 on behalf of every patient with diabetes. One person dies every 90 minutes in this country waiting for an organ donation, man, woman, and child. Indeed, 2.3 million people died last year. How many do you think were organ donors? You might think 100,000, 50, 20, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. 6,000 out of 2.3 million deaths. 82,000 people are on the transplant list right now, including Victor at Loma Linda University Medical Center and Transplant ICU, 7,200. And I told Victor that I would mention him tonight because I want to uplift his spirits. And Victor, you keep your spirits up when I play this video back for you. You're going to feel fine with a nuevo hígado, with a new liver. Every person in this audience and every person in this country can save 8 lives by being an organ donor. We all have 2 kidneys. We have 2 lungs. That's 4. The liver can be sectioned, and the small part saves a child, and the large section saves an adult. That's 6. The heart is 7. The pancreas and the small intestine is 8. And with tissues, we can even save more than that. And when I met the Antonowicz family, my second donor family, their only son had been killed in an automobile accident. And I met his mother, Kathy, and his father, Jim, And his mother, Kathy, she pushed her hand underneath my ribcage so that she could feel her son. And we cried together, and we laughed together, and we kissed. And a few months later, I met Mark's son, his 12-year-old son, Christopher. And Christopher ran up and he gave me a big hug. And he knew his father was inside of me. That's the spirit of organ donation. That's the altruism behind organ donation. And I took Christopher to Disneyland. We were walking through Disneyland, going from ride to ride, and all of a sudden Christopher stopped and he turned around at me with that blonde hair and those big, beautiful blue eyes. And he looked up at me and he asked me a question, and he used a word that only a child owns. And he said it in a manner that only a child can say it. And he looked up at me and he said, "What part of Daddy do you have?" You could have knocked me over with a feather. I was not ready for that. But I managed to keep it together, and I said to him, I said, "Christopher, I have your dad's liver. It's right here underneath my rib cage, and it's filtering my blood, and it keeps me alive." And he turned and he started to walk, and I was relieved. And I started to walk with him. And then all of a sudden he stopped and he looked up at me again, and then I knew he was going to say something that would make me cry because I was right on the verge anyway. And sure enough, he looked up at me and he hesitated and he said, "Cool, can we go on a roller coaster now?" Ladies and gentlemen, I have organ donor cards from the Department of Motor Vehicle. I'm doing social work right now. If you'd like one, I'll give you one. Thank you very much for this award. It's helping me throughout the country. Thank you.